We're back again, folks. I'm trying to put out more content for you guys so you can have your own time wasted or entertained because a lot of people just want to have their empty spaces filled with background noise. And maybe that's what my channel has become for you. There's some really great channels out there where people like to unwind and relax. One of my personal favorites is the Baumgartner Restoration channel, where he restores artwork. That's one of my favorites. Another one is Wristwatch Revival. That guy's channel really exploded. I think I started following him a year ago and he had like less than 30,000 followers, and he's well on his way to 500,000 now. Just relaxing channels. So I hope that my channel can be that for you too, as well as a little entertainment and information and maybe a movie recommendation. So today's feature film I picked up quite a while ago, and I was just kind of browsing my shelf for a new movie that I had bought but that I had not watched or reviewed ever. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 90s and my mom grew up in the 60s, so her childhood favorites became my childhood favorites. And I remember watching VHS copies again and again of certain classic Disney movies from the days of Walt. And the two that come to mind, actually there's three that come to mind. One is a Fox Studios 20th Century Fox release, but the three films that come to mind that were kind of like hokey, they all kind of feel similar because they are from a similar time period. Excuse me. It's 7 o'clock on a Monday. Got my coffee in hand. The three films that come to mind that this time period of films all feel very similar to me is Walt Disney's 1950s release of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Kirk Douglas. That is a classic. That is one that I watched again and again as a child. The early 60s release, and this was a theme ride at Disneyland in Anaheim for years, Swiss Family Robinson. They had the treehouse there in Adventureland. That's another Disney classic. Watched that again and again growing up. And the other one that I watched all the time growing up, and I still have all these VHS copies of, is the James Mason and Pat Boone starring film Journey to the Center of the Earth, the adaptation of Jules Verne's book. And that is a 20th Century Fox release. I think it came out in the late 50s. The color of films in that era and the way they did their special effects, just kind of very hokey, very cheesy, but they were working with what they had in the late 50s, mid 50s, early 60s. All those films kind of have a similar color film vibe, the way they did their lighting and set design. They all, whether it was a Disney movie, that Fox movie, they all kind of felt similar to me. So this particular movie, hang on a second, we got someone calling. Sorry, folks, my wife was freaking out. One of my cats has finally become a hunter, and he killed a robin in the backyard. And my wife is hysterical, so that's why we had to cut tape. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. So I lost my train of thought. This particular film came out in 1962, late 62, and my Swiss Family Robinson tape as a kid was in this same Walt Disney's studio film collection. This particular release came out in 1991, so the film would have been 32 years old at the time. It is called In Search of the Castaways, and you could even see it's like highlighting the fact that Walt was still at the helm at this point. It says, imagination, warmth, and fun-loving sense of adventure make Walt Disney's studio film collection truly special. The unique quality of these timeless films will forever touch hearts. Walt, I hate to break it to you, but this movie does not really hold up to the younger crowd. So I tried to get my kids ages 9 and under to watch this film with me, and 3 of them just walked away and one of them fell asleep while watching it. It's just I feel like if you grew up watching it, it's a classic to you and you're going to love it. But does it hold up to a younger generation with modern CGI and all the special effects that are so realistic? This movie, it's very dated for what it is. And I feel like Disney films where Walt was at the helm, they had a lot more musical numbers. There's a lot of random musical numbers in this movie. And I've read stories where Walt would be coming in, they'd be talking about a film, and he's like, okay, Adam musical number right there. I think it was a film of its time. Yes, Walt and Disney Studios still have a lot of famous musical numbers, Frozen and Moana and stuff like that, but live action musical number, I don't know. A certain point in time, folks. That's what I'm getting at. So this movie rated 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Google users gave it an 83% rating, starring Haley Mills, Maurice Chevalier, Wilfred Hyde White, and Michael Anderson, the love interest of Haley Mills, just to kind of tie that character in. And my favorite standout character, I'm just naming a few. There was more people that were in the movie, but my favorite character was this Irish actor named Wilfred Bramble. He played this kind of piratey, vibey guy who was like some sailor lost at sea and captured by natives. He played this character, Bill Gale, kind of a very Pirates of the Caribbean movie vibe. Loved it. He was the standout for me. This was based on an 1868 novel by Jules Verne called Captain Grant's Children. And yes, this Captain Grant was missing, and they found a message in a bottle, and his kids, Haley Mills, and I don't know the other kid's name, they were looking for him. That's the whole premise of the movie. And then they find this British lord who has a luxury steam yacht to go all over the world trying to find him. 98-minute runtime. It was top 12 at the box office in the UK in 1963. The New York Times said it was gimmicky, and you know what? That was my impression as I watched it. The other movies that I grew up watching, yes, they're gimmicky, but I think I had more of a connection with them since they were a part of my childhood and I enjoyed watching them. This movie, I had never seen it before, so it wasn't as like, oh yeah, this is great classic memory association movie. I had to stop it many times, take breaks, do other stuff because I was kind of like losing momentum. But then it did pick up momentum for me as the movie went on. I began to enjoy it more. My initial review of this movie, and everybody should check it out and tell me what they think, which nobody does. People watch, but they don't comment. I am giving this movie a 3 out of 5. It was okay, but it wasn't like an amazing film for me. I have seen movies of this era that are obviously classics. This movie wasn't really viewed as a classic based off of what I read back in the day either. People just kind of thought it was meh. And it's not one of those Disney films. I'd never even heard of it until I found it at the thrift shop, but I recognized this particular collection because I have some of these other films from this time period of the Disney Studios. Doesn't hold up for me, but it feels a lot of adventure movie vibes at the time. I think I like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea more. To me, that's more of a classic movie. And even that Fox release of the other Jules Verne's, because of like, we're talking about 3 different Jules Verne's films here based off of books. But the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and the Fox release of Journey to the Center of the Earth, to me, because if I had that past association with them, those movies are more important to me than this particular movie. But maybe somebody else had this in their life as a kid and they loved it. So that's my review today, folks. My thoughts. There's movies that I have watched recently over the weekend, maybe in the past, that I might have not talked about, but I should talk about it. So until next time, we'll see you then.